We'll now recognize the ranking member of the full committee, Ms. Waters, for 5 minutes.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman. Secretary Yellen, I don't have much of a question to ask you. I want to thank you, basically, for the work that you have done. You know, there's a lot of talk about helping small businesses and minority businesses, but under your leadership, working with the President of the United States, you've done a magnificent job. I want to thank you for the CDFIs, the Community Development Financial Institutions, an alternative to the big banks who don't give loans to small businesses. They don't want them in the bank. But because of CDFIs, people have a place to go to present their case and get loans. The other thing I want to thank you for is the Minority Business Development Agency, which you put $125 million into in order to teach and to train and to make sure that small businesses have the assistance that they need, the technical assistance to these businesses so that they have the legal, the accounting, and business advice that they need to grow and prosper. And of course, I want to thank you for the SSBCI. We put in this committee $10 billion to create 10 million loans. And I want you to know that it's making a difference. I want you to know the other side has not done any significant work for small and minority business. We're trying to close the wealth gap. I give you credit for your leadership, for your understanding. Well, I guess if I want to ask you a question, I want to ask you, do you think that these kind of efforts will help us to close that wealth gap?
So I absolutely do, and I very much want to thank you for the strong endorsement that you've given Treasury's work. I know how important this is to you, and it's important to the country. It has been our focus to use the funds that Congress has provided most effectively since day one of the Biden administration. And addressing the wealth gap, this is a top priority. At Treasury, we're trying to use every single tool that we have to make headway on this. As you know, this is something that is difficult to eradicate, but I think our efforts are making a difference. And as I've traveled around the country, I've often had the chance to visit businesses that are getting help from CDFIs in low-income or minority communities, and I have seen small businesses get the support they need through CDFIs or through SSBCI to develop and thrive. This is a clear focus of all the work the Biden administration has done.
Well, and I think it's important for people to know this is all over the country, and I'm trying to get my colleagues on the opposite side of the aisle to work with us so that rural communities and small communities and towns can have more access. The infrastructure is not there with nonprofits and others to work with what you're doing for all of us. And maybe there's something you can say or do to encourage those who have small towns in their areas that don't know about the programs. And when we take it to them, to ask them, don't you want to participate with CDFIs? And don't you want some of the money that comes to your state with SSBCIs? What can we do to get them more interested so that more of this money can get into rural communities? I know you don't have time. This is not the proper place to educate them now, but perhaps you can volunteer to meet with some of my colleagues to get them interested from the opposite side of the aisle on how they can take advantage of what you're doing, what the president is doing, and what we're learning we can do to help equal the playing field so that we can have financial services working for everybody and that we can have women and minority-owned businesses, et cetera, that have been excluded for so long participating because of the work that you're doing.
Well, thank you very much, and we would be glad to work with you or with others who are interested in bringing these benefits to low-income and rural communities. We do try to do significant outreach, and we're certainly prepared to do more. Would welcome the collaboration.
Thank you. I yield back.